Good evening, friends. Welcome to Mission Possible by BK. This is Bharat, a chartered accountant by profession. And in this video, we will continue with the paper 3 that is related to your law and regulation related to your banks. And we have already covered the first unit in our module A of the third subject. And this is the second unit. And it's all about control over organization of banks. So in this unit, we will see how the banks are controlled by the RBI, and the short notes which I am preparing here is mostly extracted from Macmillan, and I have just covered the short notes of this so that it becomes easy to explain and also not to dump you with a lot of information. So I will share these short notes once I complete each and every module so that it becomes easy for you to revise. But my suggestion is that first time whenever you prepare, better have a look at the Macmillan book, even though the subject is large, and the same chapter which is here in 4 to 5 pages in Macmillan book, you will find it in around 10 to 15 pages. But just for one time you can read it, and then you can follow the important points from these short notes. So let's get started. In this chapter we will see that the first requirement is license. Okay, license is the first requirement that you need to have when you are starting a bank. And which section of the Banking Regulation Act 1949 gives the license? That is section 22. You must remember these sections because these come in your exams as MCQs. So section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act gives the license for conducting a banking activity, and it is mandatory for any bank to obtain a license before starting its business. So who grants the license? RBI. So total three aspects. Section 22, RBI grants the license and it is mandatory before starting your banking activities. And while giving this license, it is the discretion of the RBI whether to give or not. Sometimes during the application or sometimes during the inspection stage, RBI finds that some of the requirements of the Banking Regulation Act are not met by those particular banks. So it reserves the right to give the license or not. If it finds some deficiencies, then it can ask the banks to correct those deficiencies or improve those deficiencies before giving the license. So this power is as per section 35 of the Banking Regulation Act. Similarly, under section 11 of the Banking Regulation Act, the minimum capital and reserve requirements of a banking company are specified. We will cover that in the next few minutes. Under section 22, RBI can impose a greater capital requirement for licensing a banking company. So this is a must point which you should remember. So RBI has the power to tell that you need to have a higher capital than what is mentioned under section 11 of the Banking Regulation Act. So the Reserve Bank must be satisfied that the business has sufficient capital and earnings potential before granting the license. So foreign bank now. So for foreign bank, there are some additional conditions which are imposed apart from the conditions required for domestic corporations or domestic banks. So what are those three conditions? We will see. The government or the law of the country where the company is incorporated discriminates in any manner against banking business registered in India. That means if it is a foreign bank, that means the group company is situated somewhere else other than India. We should check whether the government or the law of that country respects our Indian law. It should not discriminate our Indian banks in any manner, and also whether the company conforms with the Banking Regulation Act provisions that apply to international companies. So these are the two important conditions that should be checked when a foreign bank is applying for a license. Apart from the domestic bank conditions, these are some additional conditions. That means the setting up of a foreign bank in India should not be detrimental to the interests of the Indian bank. That means it should not harm the Indian banks in any manner, either by way of discriminating law in that country or by any other act which causes a discrimination or partiality towards the Indian banks. So that is the foremost important condition which is checked by RBI. And then comes to the cancellation of ISIN. This also comes under section 22, but the subsection is 4 here. Subsection 22(4) of the Banking Regulation Act gives the RBI the authority to revoke any banking company's license. Branch licensing. Branch licensing is nothing but the process of obtaining a license to operate a branch. To operate a branch. Branch means no, it may be in the same district, it may be in the same city, or it may be in a different state. A branch is nothing but a part of the same organization located in a different place. So section 23 of the Banking Regulation Act defines the site of business as any sub office, pay office, sub pay office, or any other location Any other location is the important term here, where deposits are received, checks are cashed, or money is lent. The RBI may demand that the following conditions may be met before granting authorization under Section 23. That means once you have set up a bank, and if you want to set up a branch office, then again there are some conditions that you should satisfy. The RBI will check for the bank's financial situation and history. It will check for the management's overall character, whether the management is capable of running a branch, the capital structure adequacy and earning potential, and the public interest. If it is really necessary to do so, then only the RBI will grant a license. In general, what the banks do is, whenever they want to open a new branch, now the system is that yearly once they will submit the request to RBI about their intention to open the branches, and the RBI gives a blanket approval once in a year to all the banks who have applied for branches. But again, RBI will check all the conditions related to the capital adequacy and also the bank's overall current financial situation as well. Now comes to the important part of this chapter, reserves and paid up capital. Section 11 is the one which deals with your reserves and paid up capital. So here the section 11 defines various paid up capital and reserve requirements for a banks while starting the bank. So first we will check for foreign banks. A foreign bank in India is required to deposit and keep deposits with the Reserve Bank for an amount of 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs if it has a setup office in Mumbai or Kolkata or both. That means if it is in Mumbai or Kolkata, then 20 lakhs is the must for keeping the reserve with RBI. If not, then 15 lakhs is the amount that it should deposit with the RBI. So the deposit can either be in cash, unencumbered approved securities, or a combination of the two. Now we will just quickly understand what unencumbered approved securities are. Encumbered generally means something which has a charge on it. So if I say that my securities are encumbered, that means there is also a charge on it. I have deposited my shares with someone and that other person has a charge on it, so I cannot sell it. So those kind of securities are not accepted. Unencumbered means those kind of securities which are totally free of any charge. That means there is no obligation attached to those securities. It is free of charge. So the foreign banks can either deposit the amount of 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs in cash or unencumbered approved securities, or a combination of two. That means they can do 7.5 lakhs as cash and 7.5 lakhs in unencumbered approved securities. So that is the meaning of your unencumbered approved securities. Okay, the next comes to Indian banks. So in Indian banks, the following is the requirement for your paid up capital and reserves. So if it has a place of business in more than one state, then 5 lakhs. If it is a place of more than in one state which includes Mumbai and Kolkata, then 10 lakhs. So Mumbai and Kolkata is the key word here. If business is only in one state and does not include Mumbai and Kolkata, then it is only 1 lakh, plus you have to pay 10,000 for the other places of business in the same district, or a 20,000 for other places of business, total not exceeding 5 lakhs. So that is what is the key here. Okay, the total amount should not exceed 5 lakhs if the business is only in one state, okay, and does not include Mumbai and Kolkata. So this is also the keywords here. So if the bank has only one place of business, then it is only 50,000. If the place of business are only one state but one or more of them is in Mumbai or Kolkata, then 5 lakhs plus 25,000 for each place of business outside the cities, aggregating should not exceed 10 lakhs. So this you should need to remember, because in the exam sometimes they ask questions related to this. If the situated place is in Mumbai or Kolkata, then what is the minimum paid up capital, or what is the amount charged for the additional place of business. So here 1 lakh is something which you should remember and 5 lakhs is something which you should remember. So the 1 lakh is for only those states which does not include Mumbai and Kolkata. Okay, that is the key here. Whereas here 5 lakhs is only for Mumbai or Kolkata, but one or more of them is in Mumbai or Kolkata. So that is the keyword here. For them it is 5 lakhs plus 25,000. If it is more than one state, that means it may be in Gujarat, it may be in Tamil Nadu, then 5 lakhs. If it is more than in one state, including Mumbai and Kolkata, then it is 10 lakhs. That means I have one in Tamil Nadu and one in Mumbai, then it comes to 10 lakhs. So you should understand the meaning exactly here. You can remember this table and that is enough for you to answer any queries related to your capital requirements. So paid up capital, subscribed capital and authorized capital. Banking companies are entitled to issue only equity shares or and preference shares. Okay, equity shares and preference shares. So they can issue either only equity shares or partly equity and partly preference shares as per section 12 of the Banking Regulation Act. So this also can come as an MCQ question, whether banks can issue only equity shares or only preference shares or a combination of both. Then you should write the correct answer. Shareholding in banking companies. There are certain restrictions on shareholding voting rights which we will learn now. So one thing that you have to note here is, no person can actually have voting rights more than 10%. So that is what is mentioned actually in section 12 of your Banking Regulation Act. So no person will have voting rights greater than 10%, and at the same time this does not put a restriction on transfer of shares. That means a person can transfer shares from one person to another person, but the maximum voting rights that a shareholder can exercise is only 10%. And at the same time, if a person wants to acquire any interest in any share directly or indirectly by himself, this should be done actually with the prior approval of the Reserve Bank. And at the same time, section 12(3) says that the transfer of shares is not prohibited, and at the same time it also says that if any issue has to be taken in case of shares which are held by some other person on behalf of a lunatic person or on behalf of a minor, then we can put a case on behalf of the minor or the lunatic. This is not so important here, but you can just remember the section name here, and what is important is the 10% here, and also there is no restriction on transfer of shares. Okay, that is what is important. Now section 13 actually puts a ceiling on commissions, brokerage, discounts or remuneration on the sale of banking company shares. Whenever a company sells its shares, generally agents are involved in selling of shares, so they take some commissions or brokerages. So the maximum ceiling that RBI has imposed initially was 2.5%. so that was the ceiling initially imposed by section 13 of the Banking Regulation Act. And another important thing is section 15. It says that dividend cannot be declared by a bank until all the capitalized expenses have been completely wiped down. The capitalized expenses are nothing but the expenses which have been incurred by the bank prior to forming the company. These are generally called as preliminary expenses. Preliminary expenses means all those costs which are generally incurred by a company prior to starting of the company. That means now if I want to start a company, I have to take an auditor's report, I have to calculate the projected financial statements, I have to approach the ROC, Ministry of Company Affairs. A lot of expenses are involved. So all these expenses are called as preliminary costs. This in general should be capitalized. That means preliminary expenses are generally capitalized over a period of time. That means it is amortized maybe 3 years or 5 years. That's the rule which income tax actually gives. So the rule of banking regulation says that all those preliminary expenses and all the capitalized expenses should be completely wiped down. That means it should have been completely absorbed. There should not be any capitalized expenses remaining in your balance sheet. Only then you can go and declare a dividend. So what are all those capitalized expenses? The examples given were preliminary costs, share selling commissions, brokerages. All these expenses which are generally incurred before setting up of the company and which are capitalized in the balance sheet should be written off completely, and then only the banking company can declare a dividend. So this is mentioned in section 15 of the Banking Regulation Act. Now coming to banking company subsidiaries. So banking company subsidiaries in general, there are no restrictions, but there is a limit of investment in firms that are not subsidiaries. So that is mentioned under section 19(2). That means you can set up as many subsidiaries as you want, but when you want to invest in any company which is not your subsidiary, then there is a limit on that. In general, subsidiaries can be established only for the purpose of banking. So the main condition as specified for establishing a subsidiary is that your subsidiary should be established mainly for the banking purposes. It should not carry out any other activity other than banking activity. If so, then the license will not be given by the RBI. So if you want to establish a subsidiary company, then you can go ahead, but it should be related to banking activity. You cannot attach any other activity apart from banking activity to your subsidiary company. Okay, so that is the restriction given on subsidiaries. So apart from that, there is a limit on investment in firms that are not subsidiaries. That means if you are investing in just shares of any other company, then the maximum that the Banking Regulation Act has specified is 30%. It should not exceed 30% of the capital of that company or your paid up capital. So that is the requirement specified for investing in companies that are not subsidiaries. That means if you mortgage or pledge your shares or buy shares in another company or another firm which is not your subsidiary, then the maximum that you can do is 30% of that company's capital or your paid up capital. So members of the board of directors, section 10A speaks about the board of directors. It says that persons who are professional and who are having relevant experience in banking will be considered for the board of directors of the company. So this is very much a important point. They should have some knowledge about the banking business. And at the same time, the person who is appointed as a director should not have any substantial interest, whether as an employee, manager or managing agent, as per section 10A. What is substantial interest? Substantial interest means holding 5 lakhs capital or more, or holding greater than 10% of the shareholding. So this is called as substantial interest. If a person is having this, then he would be considered to have substantial interest. So what the Banking Regulation Act says that a person should not be having substantial interest, and whereas this is not applicable for Section 25 companies. Section 25 companies are nothing but the companies which are established for the purpose of charity. So these are called as charitable purpose. So that means a person who is having any interest in charitable person is not considered for this above substantial interest, and at the same time a person or a firm that engages in any trade, commerce or industry, then the proprietors of this company will not be considered as directors, of the banking company. That means if a person is a proprietor and he is engaged in any trading activity like commerce, or he is engaged in any industrial activity, then he will not be considered for directorship activities. So that is also one of the restriction. Be it the owners of the trading company, commercial or industrial enterprises or small scale enterprises, whatever it might be, proprietors or people who are engaged in trading activities shall not be considered for the purpose of directorship. So that is one of the restriction placed here, and at the same time the second restriction is substantial interest. A person should not be having substantial interest. If so, then he will not be qualified to become a director in the company, and the maximum period a director can serve is for 8 years in a row. He can serve as a director of a banking firm. So that is what is most important in this section. And section 10b, it says that the appointment of a part-time chairman or an appointment of full-time chairman is also mandatory. So this is also some requirement which the Banking Regulation Act stipulates. And the RBI has the authority to appoint extra directors. They may ask a question whether the RBI has an authority to appoint extra directors. Then yes, the answer is yes, it can appoint, and this is mentioned under 36AB of the Banking Regulation Act. It is necessary sometimes to remember the sections also, because in this entire chapter I think we have covered nearly 7 to 8 sections, and I think you should be able to remember it easily. And section 10 of the Banking Regulation Act prohibits and restricts the hiring of managing agents. So we should not be hiring any managing agents. Now coming to the last portion of this chapter, it is management's control, power to fire management and other employees. So section 36 EAA of the Banking Regulation Act gives RBI the authority to fire any chairman, director, CEO or any other officer of a banking corporation. So this is the utmost power given to RBI. And an appeal against the above removal can be filed with the central government. An appeal must be lodged within 35 days, and the central government's appellate decision subject to RBI's ruling will be final. So an appeal also can be preferred against the removal. And suppression of a banking company's board of directors. Section 36C of the Banking Regulation Act authorizes RBI to supersede a banking company's board of directors for a term of 6 months, which can be prolonged up to 12 months. That means the RBI can sometimes supersede. It is not suppression here, friends, and sorry for that mistake. It is superseding. Superseding means what happens is, like, the banking company will have some frauds. For example, you take the classic case of Yes Bank, or you take the case of PNB, or you take the case of Central Bank of India. So whenever a fraud has been committed, what the RBI does is it immediately appoints some directors from the board of RBI into the board of the banking company. So this can be initially for a period of 6 months, and it can be extended up to 12 months. So what the duty of these directors is, they try to correct the flaws, they try to find out the frauds and report to the RBI on a regular basis about all the things that has happened, and they try to set right the things. So now if you see, Yes Bank is back on track. So that is what the directors who are appointed by RBI do. So the RBI has all the powers to supersede the banking company's board of directors. So that is what the entire concept of this chapter or this unit is, friends. I have tried to minimize the entire content of Macmillan to only the relevant contents, because your exam is in format of MCQ. So whatever is relevant only I have covered here. You don't need to know each and every line in Macmillan book, but a one-time reading is very, very good for you to remember the topic, as we will be covering a lot of MCQ, so everything will get covered in the end. So nothing to worry, friends. So whatever is given in the short notes, maybe you can have a look at a later stage when I provide you with the short notes. So now we will just have a quick recollection of what we have learned today, and with that we will end this chapter. I will try to limit the video to maximum 20 to 25 minutes, so that to make it more crisp and short, and also you can spend your time in learning other subjects as well, because accounts is the only subject, or the second module is the only subject where you need to spend some time. And that's why most of my videos in accounts module are almost around 45 minutes to 1 hour, because I need to explain the concept and also I need to explain the practical part of it. So I regret for that, and I request you to pardon me, because I don't have any option, because I want you to understand the logic, then only you will be able to solve the practical questions. But whereas for subjects 1 and 3 it is a theoretical subject, so only what is necessary, or only the summary part of the lesson is enough for you. So these two subjects, the video length will be less when compared to your account subject. Please bear with me for that. And now we will quickly have a recap. So the first thing that we learned is license requirement, section 22, and section 35 gives RBI discretion power. It can give license or it cannot give license. And section 11 tells us the paid up capital requirements. Under section 22, the RBI can impose greater capital requirements. And foreign bank, apart from the regular conditions for domestic banks, we also have to see that the foreign banks establishment is not harmful to the Indian banks, that the law of the foreign bank should not cause any partiality or harm to the Indian banks. So that is the most important conditions. Cancellation of license, section 22 subsection 4 gives banking regulation, gives the RBI the authority to cancel the company license at any point of time. Branch licensing, branch is setting up of an additional place of bank in the same district, same area, same city, or even other state as well. So the RBI can demand that the financial strength of the banking business should be good enough, and the management also should have the capability to handle the banking business. Reserves and capital, paid up capital is mentioned under section 11. For foreign businesses, it is 15 lakhs if it is not in Mumbai or Kolkata, and 20 lakhs if it is in Mumbai or Kolkata. For the domestic banks, you can just refer this table. It depends upon your place of business whether it is in one state or more than one state. So that is what is mentioned here. So if it is more than in one state including Mumbai and Kolkata, then it is 10 lakhs, or else it is 5 lakhs, and the other conditions, if it is not in Mumbai or Kolkata, are mentioned here. You can just have a quick look at it and you can try to memorize it. So that is what is mentioned under your paid up capital rule. And section 12 says that it can be either entitled to issue equity shares or partly equity and partly preference shares. So the shareholding in banking companies, there are voting rights, and the maximum voting rights that a person can enjoy is 10%. And section 12b of your Banking Regulation Act says that generally we cannot acquire any shares directly or indirectly apart from the approval of the Reserve Bank, but we are free to transfer our shares. There is no restriction on transfer of our shares. Section 12.3 protects the rights of the lunatic and the minor people who hold the shares. That means some other person holds the shares on behalf of them. So it protects the rights of those people. Section 13 imposes a ceiling on the commissions while transfer of shares or issue of shares. And section 15 speaks about your dividend. That means you cannot issue your dividend until and unless all your capitalized expenses are completely written down. So capitalized expenses is nothing but all your capital assets. That means those expenses which record as asset is called as capitalized expense. We will cover this in our balance sheet or in our accounting video. Already we have seen it. We have seen in accounts video what is a capital expense and what is a revenue expense. Capital expense is something the benefit of which we can enjoy for a greater period of time. So that is what is mentioned here. But here the capitalized expenses are related to your preliminary costs. That means the expenses which are generally incurred before setting up of the company. So you have to write off, or you have to completely clean off all the capitalized expenses before giving any dividend. You can set up as many subsidiaries as you want. There are no restrictions, but the only condition is that it should be related to banking. And at the same time, if you want to invest in any other company which is not related to banking, or any other company which is not your subsidiary, then 30% of your capital or their paid up capital is the maximum that you can invest. Member of board of directors, the board of directors should be some persons who are associated with banking. That means they should be people who are having professional experience in banking, and they should not be having any substantial interest. And also traders or owners of trading company or industry people are also not appointed as the directors in the banking board. And the maximum period that a directors can serve is 8 years. And the Banking Regulation Act also mandates the appointment of a full-time chairman or a part-time chairman. RBI can appoint as many extra directors as it wants under section 36 AB. Section 10 prohibits restrictions on hiring of a managing agents and management's control. The RBI can fire anyone it likes if it feels that it is harmful to the interests of the banking corporation, and an appeal also can be filed against this removal. And the Banking Regulation Act also says that under section 36CA and 36AB both gives the power to RBI to appoint as many directors as it wants, whereas in 36CA it says that supersedes. That means entirely the board of directors will be superseded by the directors of the RBI, and it can initially be appointed for a period of 6 months, which can be prolonged up to 12 months. So that is all about this concept. We'll catch up with the next video and the next unit. Thank you for watching the video. Please do subscribe and share our channel, and also take care and stay safe. Thank you very much, friends.